people.
We're ready. Thank you very much. I'm Ron Bellinger. I'm the design and martial art group, followed by Judith Perennial and Kay Bennett, and then we've got another speaker from the school. Together, the members have almost 200 years of experience in this institution. So, don't take our words like this. So I've introduced myself as Kay Benton here, lifetime artist member, 25 years, two-term board member, former art director here, and a volunteer. Betty Hawk, right here, artist member, 20 years, volunteer. Alo Muniza over here, lifetime artist member, 25 years, 10 years board member, former board chair, donor, and volunteer, along with her late husband. Joan Alvin is upstairs. We invited him to join us after we sent the letter to you. So he's part of our group. Judith Perennial, right here. Artist member, 40 years. Our most senior member, and a volunteer here. Judy Pike, artist member, 10 years, and a volunteer here. Eric Swenson on this end, artist member for 25 years, formerly in charge of hanging shows, and a volunteer. Last but not least, Jack Wade, artist member for 25 years, former board member, former editor of the SDAI Journal, and also a volunteer. So that's our group. For several years, members of SDAI have sought either a general membership meeting or an informal group meeting with the SDAI Board. And we've never had any response to those requests. So that's why we got together, wrote a letter formally to you, and the board said no. But that was a good thing. We finally have a response, so we're happy about that. And we've been invited to speak today for these time sessions. So I've already told you about who's going to be speaking and what. Let me just start on. So this Art Institute was founded as a membership organization and has always worked to the benefit of the art education of San Diegans in general. And that's a broad term, San Diego. This board's efforts to change that, we believe, are in conflict with the Art Institute's mission, its 74-year legacy, and the expectations of the city when it originally granted this lease for this gallery. The city's been very clear about the benefits for the artists who could show and sell their work here. The city stated that SDAI's purpose was to exhibit the work of the San Diego visual artists. It's in the lease. The city also favored the long-standing practices of impartial jury shows, time after time, resolutions, SDAI league, this sort of thing. The city showed its commitment to these goals very, very clearly when it rejected the Children's Museum, which wanted this space. And it also rejected the Mingay, which wanted to expand into this space so that we could have this space for our museum. They were serious. They took our argument, and some of the people behind me made that argument to the city. This is an art institute, we believe. It's not a museum. And what's the difference? An art institute is about artists. An art institute is about nurturing those artists. A museum is about a point of view, a story to be told. So we believe SDAI is not a museum, and this board should not make it a museum without the consent of the members and the city. Neither is likely, I think. So we want to get SDAI back on track. We recognize that improvements have been made in outreach to the people of San Diego, and new management has been very effective in publicizing SDAI and its events, and that hasn't been happening previously. However, we think the outreach and publicity have been narrowly focused and would be more beneficial if they were more narrowly broad, if they were broad and less narrow. So kudos, we think that's been handled very well. We and many of in the community are also concerned that the long-standing Fleet Youth Artist Gallery over here is no longer operating. And Emily McCart from the schools, we hope we'll have a few words to speak about that. We expected improvement and innovation, but what we see has been chaos and radical change. While our members have been, and volunteers have been devalued, they've been disregarded, even dismissed. So we believe that SDAI must return to its stated purpose. Jury shows of local artists, in the past most of them were members, And historically, by way of clarification, that meant San Diego and Imperial counties, and then Tijuana was added by the city council about, I think, 10 years ago. So when we say regional San Diego shows, that's what we mean. That's distinctive from the Baja SoCal show, which also takes in Los Angeles and the whole of Baja. And of course, we've also had every alternate year one Baja SoCal show and one international, and that's great. Otherwise, we think we should have regular regional bird shows. Okay, and SDAI needs to return to jury shows, as we say, because entirely curated shows are not fair or impartial. They're contrary to SDAI's mission, which is to expose our artists to a wide range of points of view. The director has always had the discretion to include curated art in small amounts at each show, and that's happened in the past fairly regularly. We favor that, but we expect it to be in a small area, clearly marked as a curated section, and with an explanation of why it's there, which would be beneficial also to people displaying in a curated section. In other words, we would like an artist and curator statement, and obviously there should be no commercial art. Recent curated shows have focused on only a few visual art mediums. I think of the last show in particular. We want to return to a policy which welcomes all visual art mediums and all art styles. SDAI displays used to host oil and acrylic painting, sculpture, digital art, photography, textile, etchings, drawings, encaustic, ceramic, glass, cartoons, found art, graphic art, watercolor, mosaics, paper construction, collage, video, metal installations, and mobiles. We did it all right here. And all styles are represented as well. Abstract, figurative, scenic, plein air, graphic, landscape, modern, pop, postmodern, documentary. SDAI, by the way, was one of the pioneers of digital art, not just photographs. Pieces like this, which made them produce with computers. Piece over your head behind you, that's digital art. And these were pioneers. So the board should schedule general membership meetings occasionally, we believe, at intervals, and should become more involved. This is the first time I've had the opportunity and pleasure of meeting most of you, except for Rick Todd, who served as a juror one time and juror a beautiful show. SDAI should be more transparent toward its members and the public. I can only speak about the meeting today. We would have liked if the others could have come in. If you think about it, it would have been a gracious thing to do. Finally, I'm going to finish up with this graph, which you can see on your papers. It just shows the general decline in the number of artists in jury shows. Just jury shows. And when I say artists, that would be San Diego regional artists, most of them probably members. The last few shows, we've had a big decline, and speaking particularly about the last one in March, you can see down below we looked at where the members were from. Tijuana, San Diego region, 4 and 3, no member artists, Los Angeles, New York, Florida, Virginia. So, and in January, we're not entirely clear because we can't find the records for the show, but we took it from the website, what was participating. I know that Diane Strom, as one of our members, was actually in that show. Yeah. That's it.
One more minute. No, you have one more minute.
I'm not going to take it. No, I thank you for your courtesy. Instead, I'm going to introduce Judith Perennial, who will speak, and then after that, Kate Knight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm a contemporary artist and have been exhibiting member of the San Diego Art Institute since 1974. It's enabled my art to grow, finding ways to express my love of and concern for nature and its frailties. Over the years, this organization has worked so well for many hundreds of members and local artists. I've seen it grow through the opportunities given by SDAI. It's one of a kind in San Diego County, and through its evolution has continued to nurture not only local artists, but students of all ages, and the thousands of visitors who pass through Balboa Park. The work I've seen over the years at the Art Institute has been a very eclectic collection of art by San Diego artists, and this has made it a very special place. The volunteers worked well together and not only saved money for SDAI, but created a camaraderie that made the organization thrive. When the previous director was properly dismissed, the volunteers came together, ran the jurying day, installed the shows, and manned places where they were needed. I love volunteering and hanging exhibits, and I continue to install my own solo shows. I see a real loss in dismissing the volunteers. Make no mistake, these volunteers are not docents. They're more than docents. The young people's exhibit was done away with, and this valuable part of SDAI was especially important to our community in San Diego and to me. I saw the faces on the children and parents when they were congratulated for their work, something that hardly ever happened in my career as a young artist. I believe that the lease stipulates that this education program should be a part of SDAI's job in Balboa Park. And having been an art educator, I agree that it should be a part of San Diego Art Institute. When the new director was appointed, I hope that things were done well, would be done even better. To date, this hasn't happened always. Instead, things were done well have diminished. I know that I'm not alone because I recently met with 20 artists from another group, former members or admirers of the Art Institute. Each of them expressed dismay with the recent developments at Art Institute. In the past, the receptions have been well attended, but except for the big parties, recently I don't always see the huge crowds of a mix of people coming. Also, on most days, when the park is crowded, the only people in the gallery are the employees, and I've been here a lot. The changes implemented by the new director have completely altered the organization. Now hundreds of San Diego artists have been left out. Our benefits at the Art Institute have been taken away, and that's why we are speaking to you today. Thank you.
Okay, Kay Benton.
Well, I think I don't have to tell you what my name is.
I have been part of the San Diego Art Institute since 1989 in the old building before the night. Can you hear her? Is the microphone
Speak
on?
up.
I can hear, we can, but
Could you hear
Well,
me?
You might not be
okay,
able
no, I'm
to.
not gonna
Yeah.
make that you hear her.
No, we can
So
hear.
I just hope that you can,
Yes, we
it
can.
doesn't sound like the microphone's on, so I'm sorry, Dave. Since 1989, in the old building, as a member, volunteer, board member, and finally as art director until 2007, when I resigned. I received a lifetime membership award for services rendered to the San Diego Art Institute. When I was on the board, I recall that we had to put together a proposal and an architectural plan, a funding plan, to the city to be allowed the privilege of returning to the renovated San Diego Art Institute building in Balboa Park. In order to obtain that privilege, we had to promise to benefit, exhibit, and promote San Diego area artists, as we would be the only organization with exclusive duty in the park. The charter that was written was approved by the San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture over that of competing organizations such as the Children's Museum and the Minting Museum, which wanted the entire building. Changing the charter requires voting by the San Diego Art Institute general membership and approval by the Arts Commission. Annual membership meetings are also required by this charter.
Thank you, Kay. I'll summarize very briefly. We want to thank you for inviting us here today. We have received the handout that you gave us, and I might note that we did receive also the letter that you sent to us, and we've read that. We believe that there are some errors, in fact, and we'll provide a reply in due time. We hope this is the start of we realize that there are areas of common interest and areas of disagreement. Here's where a true dialogue will be helpful. We hope this is the start of that dialogue between the board and its members, and we look forward to a continuing innovation and improvements within the framework of SDAI's mission to serve local artists. Thank you.
No, I've got one more person.
She's next.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
How much time do I have? 15.
Yes, my name is Emily Lafarge, and I am here today.
I'm sorry, how do you spell that? I don't have you on the script here.
I'm not on the list, but
I'm sorry.
no, that's fine.
Larry, you should know Emily. She's been with us for years and years and years.
Since 1999, actually, Y2K, and we watched the Millennium come in with our first youth art show. I came on board as a community partner with a youth art show and a program called the Limitless Leaders. And then in 2000, there was no one that was in charge of directing the youth art shows except for the California Educators Association, which is an organization that is it's a state organization where schools have credentialed art teachers and full art programs. So that was a connection with youth art in the past. They were the ones who sponsored Youth Art Month, and they had youth shows come. As I started aboard with the nonprofit agency, we decided that there were many youth and many youth programs in the park, like the 5th grade program, and the students weren't allowed to participate in the programs because their schools didn't have full-on art teachers. And so sitting down with the California Art Educators Association, we developed a system and a calendar where the schools that did have art teachers could have certain days on the calendar, and then the other arts organizations who had a connection, if there was a connection with a local artist, or if there was a connection with someone who knew someone, then those other kids could get a show on the, on the calendar. So we realized that was very unfair. So the development of the role of the youth art outreach coordinator, which became me, so that because my connection with the school district, I'm a school teacher with California, San Diego Unified School District. It was my role to reach out to all the schools that did not have credentialed art teachers, so that lots and lots more students could participate in the opportunity here to show their work in the David Young Artist Gallery. I'm sorry I was not on the original letter because I was not sure I was going to be able to speak. Our school was closed and I didn't have access to all the documentation and a lot of the history that I do have. I have binders and binders of all the history of all the youth art shows, at least that I was in charge of since 2000, which is a lot of schools and a lot of students and a lot of student recognition. And that's the part that I think that is missing now. One of the things that I did bring is I found the 2005 Youth Education in the Arts State of California grants that we got from the California Arts Council. This is a grant that was funded for youth education and for a program that we called Art Box, where students were able to produce art here in the Art Institute using artists as mentors, and then their work was shown, and they had a show here as well in the David Police. I keep pointing here because that used to be the Youth Art Gallery. So, excuse me, I'm very visual that way. And two things that I wanted to say, and I can provide a lot more information at a later date because I did not come prepared with handouts and things like that. But I do want to read you two things, and then I will end by asking you a question as to how the youth art can be brought back as part of what we do at the Art Institute. This is a very simple grant. It asks the Art Institute 4 questions. It said to describe your work in arts education in a school or a community site over the last 3 years. It asks, how does your work in arts education, whether in a school or community site, and what are your core values and mission of your organization? It asks to describe the demographics of the participants whose services are provided and discuss how these participants are selected to work with the Art Institute. And then last, it asks, has your program worked to deepen the artistic experience of your students, and to describe how that works? And so that's why we applied and talked about the Art Box program that we did, and that was the program that did get funded. So, I'm not going to read you the whole grant, but I am going to read you what I think is very pertinent to answering those questions as to what we did. How am I on time?
Your time is all brief, but because all the other speakers have, have their turn,
Did they give you my
and you still have a couple of minutes. So.
Okay, all right. When they asked how does the Art Institute support local living artists, it just talks about, we describe how the mission of local art, the outreach to the schools. Every show that we do begins with a public reception where student artwork is specially recognized by professional artist jurors. This is an opportunity for the students in the community to celebrate the accomplishments of youth artists and publicly reinforces the value of the creative process to youth. The California Art Education Association facilitates youth exhibitions from schools that have credentialed art teachers, as I spoke before. We have partnerships that were long-standing partnerships with the Viejas Youth, the Limitless Leader Program, the Cortez Hill Academy, City Schools 5th grade program here in Balboa Park, and the list goes on of all the youth organizations. So basically, what I'd like to end with is the fact that within the previous structure, where there were every 6 to 8 weeks a show would rotate, there would be a new juror show, a youth component was part of every one of those shows. The youth artwork was juror, just like the professional artwork. The students received recognition. Having school students meet with artists that were here, artist members, and being able to mingle with them, ask questions, know that there is a future in the arts for those that were interested in seeing that this could be a possible career path for them was phenomenal to be able to see that collaboration that we did in schools for many, many years. So
Thank
I
you.
just want to say we miss that.
Thank you. Thank you. We thank you for your participation today. I think it's, I feel very good or relieved to having had the chance to listen to every single one of the speakers today, and to get to meet you. For me, it's important to have a face-to-face interaction, and I think we are getting started on a cordial and respectful dialogue here. I think we do have a lot of common interests. And we obviously have a passion for the arts, and that's how we like to spend our free time. We're trying to further this organization